The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When John the Baptist heard in prison of the works of the Christ, he sent his disciples to Jesus with this question: Are you the one who is to come, or should we look for another? Jesus said to them in reply, Go and tell John what you hear and see. The blind regain their sight, the lame walk, lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have the good news proclaimed to them. And blessed is the one who takes no offense at me. As John's disciples were going off, Jesus began to speak to the crowds about John. What did you go out to the desert to see? A reed swayed by the wind? Then really, what did you go out to see? Someone dressed in fine clothing? Those who wear fine clothing are in royal palaces. So then, really, why did you go out? To see a prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, Behold, I am sending my messenger ahead of you. He will prepare your way before you. Amen, amen. I say to you, among those born of women, there has been none greater than John the Baptist. Yet the least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he is. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
There are few things in nature more startling, perhaps, than the desert in bloom in the spring. You perhaps have seen it if you've been fortunate enough to go to Israel at that particular time of the year, or even gone to the high desert in California. And what you will see is a place that is usually lifeless, filled with beautiful little flowers, flowers of just enormous numbers of hues, because for that moment, the desert is alive. And then the sun comes, the sands grow perhaps around it, and the flowers disappear, and it goes back to being a desert. And maybe this morning you would like to be in a desert because it's warm, much more warm than we have this morning. But it is that idea that is being presented to us today by Isaiah. A desert alive with blossoms. There are three levels today to Isaiah's reading or to Isaiah's proclamation, depending on how you look at it. We have to remember that the people of God, the Jewish people, were in exile at this time, exile in Babylon. And what Isaiah is proclaiming to them is the exile will come to an end. Now you're in exile, but it will end. That is his proclamation to them. And so he says to them, the desert and the parched land will exult. The steppe will rejoice and bloom. They will bloom with abundant flowers and rejoice with joyful song. The glory of Lebanon will be given to them, the splendor of Carmel and Sharon. They will see the glory of the Lord, the splendor of our God. And so Isaiah is saying this second Exodus. Remember, the first Exodus was across the desert to the promised land. Now the people have been forced back again into exile in Babylon. And Isaiah is telling them that in this second Exodus back to Jerusalem, they will again cross a desert. But it will be a beautiful desert. It will be a place filled with the beauty of Lebanon. I don't know how many of you have been to Lebanon. I have not. But I'm told it's a very beautiful, lush place, particularly before all the wars that ripped it apart. So Isaiah is telling the people that they will have a beautiful place upon which they will travel back to the land that they love, the place which is Jerusalem. And all of it will be tinged with the glory of God. And so all this beauty will be laid out in front of them, and they will be reminded of their God, just as we are when we see beauty in nature and we reflect to ourselves, isn't it a great God that gives us these so many gifts? So that's the first thing that Isaiah is telling the people. Their time will be changed. They will go through another Exodus. They will reach a new Jerusalem. The second level is that they, the people of God, will be transformed too. And so any weaknesses they are feeling will be dissolved because they recognize the glory of God. And so we hear Isaiah say to them, strengthen the hands that are feeble. Make firm the knees that are weak. Say to those whose hearts are frightened, be strong, fear not. Here is your God. He comes with vindication. Things haven't changed very much, have they? Here was Isaiah speaking to people thousands of years ago, talking about things that happen to us. Ever have any weak knees? Hello, are you out there? Have you ever had any weak knees? Amen? Yes. Yeah, we all, every so often, kind of gets wobbly in there. We have weak knees. Sometimes we have arthritis in those knees. That makes them even weaker. But we know what he's talking about. He's talking about, don't worry about the hands wobbling. Do your hands ever wobble? Huh? Yeah, you get a little, you get a little of the shakes, right? All right. So what he's saying is, no, be strong. And why should you be strong? Because God will be with you. And God is with us too. So here's the second level of Isaiah's proclamation. First one, recognize the beauty of God, and the Exodus will come, the second Exodus. Now he's saying, you be transformed, you be strong in the Lord.